From the break, and we're going to continue a one we were having just before that. So for pivotal change is all about leadership, and ultimately the community component is what we're discussing next. So we're returning with Brittany Casarez from Accountability Services, and we're going to just pick up right where we left off, Brittany, and we're going to talk about communication. So you had mentioned, just a quick reminder about some of these KPIs that you have during these team meetings and these huddles, as you call them. And one of the things that I find is really interesting is I think most entrepreneurs that have been in the game at all realize that communication is key. And you gave us exact methodologies on how to do that. So I want to continue to drill down. So in one of these huddle meetings, you might find that somebody is struggling or particularly bogged down. And I want to ask, as the tactician implementing things, what is to help support each other? Can you go through that when something is discovered and needs to resolve those issues?
Yes. If you see somebody struggling, they're having a lack of confidence. So their confidence back up in order to meet. Are they actually struggling, voicing what they're struggling with, or just don't really want to talk about it because they're people in our profession who so kind of getting it out of them might be a little bit of a struggle. So my biggest thing is what are they a champion at? What I go back to is if somebody is struggling and how to get them to voice their opinion or change or anything in that realm is I go back to what are they great at? What do they do so well at, and what are they a champion at is what we kind of use in our firm. So I bring it back to the basics of, well, you are a champion in this field. I want you to, go in more depth on why you do things this way. And it gives them the confidence to where they can kind of go back and actually speak up a little bit more. So you bring it back to the basics on what they are really, really good at, what they are a champion for. And then it gives them the confidence to kind of speak up. And then in our firm, I really just try to empower you to be more of a leader in that aspect. So preaching to them, essentially, this is how you are going to be a leader to your peers, by speaking up, by handling these things, taking charge, taking the bull by the horns. A lot of those times you really can't fail internally, is what we tell our team. The only time it fails is if it goes out to a client, and then we just got to fix it. But internally, always take the bull by the horns. And then we're gonna be here to support you, and we're gonna be here to either critique or make things better for you because it is your idea, and we're going to rally behind you.
I really hope the audience was paying attention to everything that you just said. I really like the phrase you said about having them champion a skill or service and becoming a champion in an area. What a powerful way to use that term and phrase, because we think of a champion, somebody is what they're best at. That's kind of the definition of a champion. And building their confidence, making them more effective in the team, and then helping bail each other out. I really want to flag to the audience that I said you can't fail internally. That's a phrase I really haven't heard before. I'm all about failure. I put out speeches about failure and how it should and could be a very healthy thing. And so your level of interaction with your employees seems to be completely different than what I deal with and most people that we consult. And speaking of consulting, you do coach people on how to bring things out. And I'd like to take a minute just to pivot into a specific category of where you coach and you kind of teach and bring people out, and you specifically target a certain audience to help elevate them. Can you tell us more about that communication, how you're reaching out to people and who that is and how you're elevating them?
Yeah, so the audience that I really focus on is women. Women we're in an industry, it's kind of 50-50 now, but I am in an industry where it is male dominated. But that shouldn't be scary at all. So in terms of when I do empower, it's usually the younger generation. But the biggest thing is how to insert your power, essentially, right? So you can't come out of the get-go and immediately just kind of put your foot down. And things are this way, things are that way. You got to really watch, listen, and learn, and then find ways. And when is the appropriate time to insert your opinions, your thoughts, or when is it time to take the bull by the horns? One thing that I do tell my operations team, which is all women, is when I said you can't fail internally, is you're always going to fail. But those failures are always going to be that learning experience. And those failures are going to be, in my eyes, something that you are actually trying. So if you're not trying, we're not getting anywhere. So I think that's the biggest thing, is try first, then fail, and then we coach you separately. So if you're not willing to take the step first, then that's going to be the hardest step for you to become a leader in any way, shape, or form. So you have to take big risks, big mistakes, to get the big outcomes, essentially. And it took me a long time in my career to understand that my failures are really only my failures, maybe not to somebody else. They might be those growing experiences to somebody else. So you are your world's harshest critic. And that's what I keep preaching to anybody in our team. Your failure only is going to be making you become that champion of that later on, because you're not going to do it twice.
Yeah, what a very powerful and impactful statement that you just made about so much of it. And I really like the fact that you set expectations in the beginning. So furthering along with that communication, you've set the expectation with your team that, the only way you can truly fail is to not try. And then if you even fail outside of the organization to a client, well, then we need to fix it. How much in communicating expectations and boundaries, and again, the mindset that they have in moving forward, how much have you seen that play an impact in the old version of your firm to what you are now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it's the main word we talk about, communication. I check in with my team daily. How are you doing today? How was your weekend? What's on your mind? What's on your plate? The biggest thing that you can do as a leader to fail, essentially, is not understanding where your employees are at. So, and that's personally and professionally, and how they're doing each day. So if you check in with them, I check in, how's your day going? What's on your list? What do you need help with? Not that I'm going to keep giving you tasks. How can I help you? Do you have anything that I can help and bring off of your plate? And then maybe we can work on it together, or you can, throw your ideas off of me, and I can kind of give you a start of where to start with that task, or help you prioritize. So the thing that I have seen in my firm with especially the younger individuals, who I have a very fresh staff of maybe a year and a half into their career here, the strides that they have made, only because I am communicating daily with them on what needs to be done, what's on their list, what do they need to prioritize. And then after that, those kind of check-ins, I allow them to come to me. Hey, Britt, I need to talk about this today. Or this is important. Can you set aside some time for this? So I always make sure that the door is open. I know everybody says I always have an open door policy, but my team does know that. And I produce the vulnerability on my end as well. So they see that I'm human too. I have a family. I have kids at home. I have a husband. I work a lot, but I understand that you have that as well. So how can we do it together, and make sure that we're both going towards the same goal of the company?
You're using a lot of really, really precise and very important language that I know was not by accident. And you're empowering people, you're bringing them together, you're being very empathetic, you're showing that you're human, they're human, there's expectations all around. I really enjoy the way you're articulating this, because I've watched you operate in the past, and we've had dozens of conversations over the couple of years. And for you to be able to bring this out to an audience of this nature, I think is really fantastic. So I want to probably ask you one more quick question, and then we're going to have to, again, cut back to those dreadful commercial breaks. But if you were going to say, in your experience, and I'd like you to maybe provide an example if you can, no names, what has been one of your biggest joys or biggest successes in making a transition, either in a workflow to the firm through people, or to a person that now contributes to that workflow? What's one of your bigger successes, or areas where you can say, hey, the communication, the process, it all worked, and this was the result?
Wow, don't make my head go like this, right? I think the biggest thing is I was on maternity leave last year, and during that time frame, my operations manager literally had to take over. I went on maternity leave out of nowhere. It started way before than we thought, and so her feet were thrown to the fire. And I learned this after I came back, but the entire time I was gone, working with the partners, she said she would go back and ask herself, what would Brittany do?
Mhm.
And she immediately said, okay, this is what Brittany would do. This is what I'm going to do. So at that moment in time, I knew that I was doing the right thing, because it was always, what would Brittany do? What would Brittany do? So now it's a thing in our firm of, if nobody knows the answer to it, they all go, what would Brittany do? So I try to take that as a compliment, but at the same time, I really got to live up to those expectations. But I fail a lot. I show that I fail a lot, but once I fail, I really make sure that I show the team like, hey, here's how you come back from it. And really kind of show that vulnerability. So I think that's the biggest thing, knowing that my communication has helped. And I came back from maternity leave and the place didn't burn down. Honestly, it was 1,000 times better. So it worked out great.
That's beautiful. I love that, and I appreciate you. It actually made you nervous to share what could be perceived as highlighting yourself, but I absolutely wanted you to share that because it's important for audience to know that these things work, that people like you can make change and impact, and that's the exact thing that we want. Not only were you able to have a pivotal change in your organization, but to that person, and then that person also influenced others to where they can look to a leader and a model and say, we need to act like this person. So Brittany, what I want to do is we do have to get going to a commercial break, but here's what's going to happen. I know after this conversation, people are going to say, I want to talk to Brittany. How do I find her? How do I get her impact? What can I learn from this wonderful, intelligent woman here? How do people get a hold of you and find you?
Yeah, so you can call our main office line, which is, I have to look because I don't even know it, 720-663-8750. Or you can email me at, and hopefully this will be shown, but brittany.casares@accountabilityservices.com. And as always, you can go to our website at accountabilityservices.com, and you can find our contact information and kind of go from there. But I am out and about. You'll kind of see my name throughout through webinars here and there on communication. So hopefully find me somewhere there.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for coming tonight. Everyone stay tuned for our final segment of the night, and we'll be right back with more Pivotal Change.